So to help us prepare for 2025, I had to bring two experts in that have been in the game for 20 plus years combined, right here doing some amazing things across the Caribbean seas. And we're going to be talking all about sales and building our companies in 2025 and how we go about doing that and some of the things that we need to be paying attention to. So first up, we have Mr. Jarrod Best Mitchell, who is a highly accomplished sales trainer and LinkedIn coach who has generated over 100 million US dollars in client revenue. Jarrod is the founder of Help Me Sell, where he has spent the last 7 years designing and delivering impactful sales training programs for B2B and B2C companies across the Caribbean. His expertise spans industries such as banking, insurance, telecoms, and real estate, and his services include one-on-one coaching, executive sales strategy consulting, and he's one of the biggest keynote speakers in the region. Feels kind of dope to say that now. You've been doing your thing. Yeah. Jarrod is also recognized as a thought leader on LinkedIn, where he helps professionals optimize their profiles and master social selling strategies. He has contributed to Daniel Disney's third book on LinkedIn Mastery and was named as one of LinkedIn's profiles to watch in 2020. And of course, we can't forget his signature love for the color yellow. It's practically his sales strategy. It's bold, it's bright, and it's impossible to ignore. Let's give Jarrod a warm welcome to the show. Jarrod, how are you doing?
I am good, my brother. How are you?
I am great. But before we begin, we have the second half of the powerhouse team of sales as a profession. We have Mr. Lyndon Braithwaite, who is the visionary founder and CEO of Opatswe Consulting, a leading sales, customer service, and business development company based right here in Trinidad and Tobago. Lyndon's mission is to create a positive impact on the lives of every person he meets. Through his company, he helps organizations achieve their goals by improving employee performance and developing effective strategies. His 4 core philosophies are: change the routine, create the opportunity, make a difference, and achieve your goals. They are the driving forces behind his success and his passion for empowering others. Here's a quick fun fact about Lyndon. Up until the age of 25, he had no plans to pursue a career in sales. In fact, he was actually studying to become an engineer and working at a bank before life took an unexpected turn and led him to discover his true passion. Now, this is a great reminder to all the parents everywhere that when kids decide to leave school or change paths, it doesn't mean the end of success. And there are countless opportunities to learn skills outside of formal education and build global businesses, just as Lyndon has done. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the digital world, Lyndon Braithwaite.
Thank you, everybody. Keron, it's always a pleasure. Jarrod, what's up?
Hey, I'm good, brother. How are you?
I am great. Looking forward to the conversation.
Do you guys think without any practice, could we get a sales as a profession welcome?
Let's see if the timing could be done as we on Zoom. So it'll be like, Jarrod Best Mitchell,
Lyndon Braithwaite,
sales as a profession.
Close. Listen, it is always a pleasure whenever we get a chance to talk. And I mean, we've always joked around that every single conversation should be a recorded conversation because it's pretty much a podcast episode. And I'm sure this is going to be no different. Matter of fact, it's one of the reasons why I wanted you guys to come on the program together, because between the two of you, you have worked across multiple industries across pretty much the entire Caribbean and Latin America. And I know you guys have also touched some companies in the US. So you guys have been well-traveled. You guys are seeing a lot. You're exposed to a lot. And again, you're one of the leaders. You're two of the leaders that are helping companies build better businesses in 2025. So again, thank you for coming in. And I think we have the right guys to kind of get us on the right page for the year. So the first question is, what are the biggest lessons sales professionals should leave behind in 2024? What are some things we are not bringing into the new year? What are some
Who,
things that as the
who,
clock
who
struck
do you want to
12?
go first? Me or Lyndon?
All right,
JB, you
Lyndon,
go
kick it
first.
off. Okay,
Yeah.
JB,
So
jump
There you
in.
go.
here's the thing I would love all sales professionals to not do is to stop operating on gut and start operating with data. That's my thing I wish they leave behind. Just this week, I had a call with a sales professional and I'm asking them questions about their sales performance, and I cannot get a quantified answer. And I'm like, this should not be. If you want to be the best you can in sales, and if you look at who are the best people in sales,
Think we just
Rose.
lost Jarrod. Jarrod just
So
froze.
let me
All
just
right,
let me
well,
just add
Jarrod,
to his, yeah,
go
let me
ahead,
add to what
Lyndon.
he's saying, and I'll give you mine as well, right? So
they could quantify. Sorry.
yeah, so what I
Yeah,
think Jarrod is adding there would definitely be along the lines of data now helps you be a lot better in terms of your sales. I mean, Karen, you and I have always discussed that, so I totally agree with Jared's point. Because to be able to do your job effectively now in 2025, you need data. Data helps you with the right decisions. Data helps you
Yeah.
put the right strategies and everything else together. So now, well, JB's back, so I'll let him finish his point. And
No, no,
tell
you,
me what to do.
Linda, remember you and I think alike, you're saying the exact thing I was
Yeah.
gonna say. And then the interesting point about it too is that I was talking to a consultant in like one of the big four firms that we have down here. And the thing that they're shocked at is the fact that so many companies are not tracking their numbers, and the ones who do to any large extent are not looking at the right metrics for their performances. Yet they're wondering why they're not maximizing revenue. So that to me is something I wish we could leave behind. And it's also, let's say, as professionals, so that you cannot wait on your company to do that for you. We have too many tools that you can implement on your own to track your own numbers.
Yeah.
that's a very, very big point.
Yeah.
Lyndon,
So I will add maybe something. I want this to maybe be a little bit more of a shocker. What I would like sales professionals to leave behind is the false misconception that their job might be safe, because it isn't. All right. The world of sales has changed considerably. I've always been saying that me starting sales in 2023 and 2003 and now being here in 2025, I have seen the transition. So Jarrod and I come from the old school days and we are in the digital space. What I am seeing is a lot of sales reps being very comfortable, very complacent. And I would go as far as saying, yes, AI can and will take your job, because what companies should be looking to be doing is getting sales reps, especially organizations that have actively taken the right approaches to develop their people. And if you still have people that are underperforming, they're being very underwhelmed, and they could choose all of the scenarios they want to choose as excuses. But there are tools now that can do what you do, which can mean that lower performing sales reps can be replaced by technology, leaving room for organizations to focus on your medium tier and your high tier. So your job really isn't safe because of how technology is going right now.
Love
excellent
it.
points. And I mean, we started off the program talking or doing a deep dive on AI agents and some of the industries that are going to be impacted in 2025 because of the combination of technologies that have evolved over the past couple of years. But I think one of the reasons why companies struggle when it comes to anything data related is they don't have any, because they don't know what to install to start collecting that data. So if
Well,
you are working with companies, right? Let's just look at it like, we have companies that, are still, pen and paper, manila folders, thousands of documents. How do some of these companies start to put the right things in place? And what are the right things in place that some
right.
companies need to put in place to start collecting data?
Yeah. So let me just add to that to Karen, because I come from a conglomerate. The last organization that I worked for was a large conglomerate, and they had data, but it wasn't sales data. So I want to be clear. It's sales data at the end of the process, right? How many pieces of equipment was moved? Was the total revenue? Was our profit margins, etc. But it's not sales data, if you understand where I'm coming from. Because core sales data is everything and everything that ties into marketing and sales. It's not at the end in terms of just how much revenue you've made. So
Mhm.
if you don't have the right data, which we didn't have at the clung, as a matter of fact, just up until the time I left, which was 2018, they were now looking at a CRM. And when I look at it now, being a CRM partner, it, to me, for what we wanted to do, I would not have chosen that CRM knowing what I know now. You understand?
Yeah.
So it's having the right data to be able to make the right decisions, because far too often we organizations choose ERPs as sales tools. It's not a sales tool, right?
Mhm.
They need something as a CRM, because the CRM ties into where Jarrod would normally help those customers in terms of having the right sales techniques and stuff like that. So that's, I want to be real clear when it comes to data and sales.
Okay,
True.
nice. So
Yeah.
so Jarrod, what are some of the things that you would tell a company? Again, they probably aren't collecting data. What are some of the things that they might need to put in place to start collecting data when it comes to sales? What are some of the tools that you guys are recommending to companies?
No, I think your standard thing is your CRM, but also to how you're digitizing. Like, just to go back on what Lyndon said, like I know a company who says they're tracking their sales on a WhatsApp group.
Yeah. Oh. Mm.
That's real. Yeah. So for me, I think if companies understand, number one, how cost effective it is to digitize, and by the way, you probably have somebody on your team who can do this for you, it will allow you to essentially take all your year's data and just start transferring it onto a CRM or a system, which will then allow you to start putting that into the CRM and then looking at all your trends in terms of your sales. So, like, even a simple example of when I start telling companies to track your data, for example, week on week, some people are not even tracking it like that granular, like where their
Mm.
sales are coming in. So, I think even those aspects, I'm not sure 100% of all the tools, but I think once it is that you have anything tracking a digital system, even if you can extract it probably from the accounting software side, that's probably the easiest place to start.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Yeah, because I know a lot of companies they're struggling because they just don't know what to put in place. But as we are, before we get into 2025, I want to ask you guys, there are a lot of sales strategies that companies are using that are outdated. What are some of these sales strategies? Think of some industries. What are some of the sales strategies that
Just
companies are
one,
doing that we need to leave in 2024?
just one. Insurance
Jarrod.
industry. Insurance industry is using most outdated tactics ever, boy. Like I keep asking people like who's doing the training in your company. So like one of the outdated tactics they keep using is like number one, they use a lot of deception tactics still. And a deception tactic is they're calling with like a false pretense, or like you're calling from different numbers just to get a customer, or like you're calling and you're not saying exactly what it is that you do. Like there's
Oh
still
my
people
God.
who have scripts of, hey Keron, I'm calling you. My name is John. I'm calling from XY Insurance Company, and I wanted to talk to you about some of our investment options. Insurance is not investment. Just call and see what they're
Mm.
talking about. Like the biggest challenge I think for them is outdated scripts. Like that to me should be left out and entirely. That infuriates me. Like the
We're
insurance
leaving that
industry
in
needs an update.
2024.
And
That cannot come into 2025.
here's the problem. Why it's painful to, and this is what companies need to understand. And I'm seeing these stats coming out. Insurance companies are underperforming as any people who are top performing. That is a direct indicator of what's happening on the training side. But then here's the sad problem though, is that insurance is more critical than ever. Like look what's happening in California and all these places right now, and a lot of other places. Like standard insurance. Like the fact that they're not using the best practices to capitalize on what's happening, it just is really just heartbreaking for me. So I need them to leave that behind. Like their industry needs an upgrade greatly.
Great example. Lyndon.
Yeah. I would say I'll go with automotive. And automotive is just one of the many examples of many other industries, and it also ties into Jarrod's insurance, right? One of the things that they need to leave behind is not being able to follow up with the lead effectively after the lead comes in. Far too many companies, they're just doing whatever they feel is relevant right now, which is
Yeah.
running ads versus doing proper marketing.
Yeah.
And when that lead comes in, there's no next step. So what I've seen organizations when we do a quantification of leads lost, it's a high number and it's a high
Yep.
revenue number as well. So when I look at certain revenue numbers, we're looking at anywhere upwards of $35 million that companies have missed in terms of money on the table, right? And that too is the kind of assessments that companies need to be doing. But at the end of the day, the people need to be trained properly in what that sales process should be, or what the sales techniques and the sales steps should be. So I would definitely say that in terms of leaving things behind, please leave behind the fact that just getting the lead is enough, because you have to work the lead towards getting it, towards moving it through the actual sales process. Because many companies that we've worked with, they're leaving too much money on the table, and it's all because they're leaving it up to the customer.
Wow. And that's so much money that we could have been generated, distributed throughout the economy
Paying
in
commission, added to the
TNT.
profit line of the company, everything.
Yeah.
Everything. So again, this is why this conversation is so important. Now, as we look at 2025, both of you gentlemen have been in sales for quite some time. I need to ask a question. I know both of you guys are going to break this down in both of your own unique ways, and I hope that listeners take some notes, because I need you to understand this. Gentlemen, how has the digital world changed sales?
It's a really
because
question.
when people think of sales, a lot of people are still thinking about that person who's going door to door, or the telemarketer just calling a million people, cold calling, right?
Let me go to Lyndon's automotive question and tell Lyndon, you can tell me if I'm wrong, and this is why I think the impact is specific to Trinidad and Tobago, right? This is, I think, where the impact of digital is. Do you think people would buy a car online without having to interact with a sales rep if the process is smooth?
Yeah,
that's the impact of digital.
Yes, and that goes back to the point I was making from before. The buyer's journey now. So the buyer's journey now doesn't need. Let me give it to you like this from a stat, right? For folks that's listening. The buyer's journey in the sales process, our customers are coming in at 65 to 70% of the sales process. Everything else they're doing by themselves. So that means when a customer comes to you, they already have an idea. They've shortlisted what vehicle they want, what model they want, and what options, whether it's at different dealerships. All right. The differentiating factor now is the person that they meet. Yeah. And if the organization has a digital experience, they will go straight to the process without having to do anything, without having to meet a sales rep. You understand?
Yep.
Because they are already doing all of the work for themselves. You understand? It's only because the organization's process becomes manual when you reach quotation, etc., etc. But if a customer if a customer could go online at any one of our local auto dealerships and build out their own quotation, save it in an automotive cart, get the quote, go to the bank, and then send the approval back into then where's a sales rep in that process?
What value can they add? And I think, so just to sum it, that I think is the impact of digital in sales today. I think I'll put it this way. Salespeople are, and Lyndon said it earlier, salespeople are underestimating how soon they would lose a job for non-performance or being mediocre.
Yeah.
And I think companies are resistant to implementing digital, despite the fact that it is the most profitable way for them to increase their sales today. And the thing is, the buyers who have the money want digital. That's the other crazy thing. I don't think people realize it. The people who have money in the economy, because the whole economy bad, want digital, and we're not providing it to them. So that to me is what I think the impact of digital on sales.
Let me just add it in another way, Keron and Jarrod. Look at what's happening now in KFC. I just came back from traveling the other day. Every single station that I went to, especially in fast food and retail, I had to do I did the transaction via kiosk portal first.
Yep.
Right. The only thing the person did for me is give me my items.
Yep.
So that immediately cuts back on staff. Now, this is already happening. If we're sticking with automotive, this is already happening in the US. That's why we have, I can't remember the name.
No, they have it in Starbucks and Movie Town. The KFC in Starbucks and Movie Town have the kiosks, have the terminals.
No, I was just talking about the same thing as it relates to
automotive. We can buy cars on Tesla. Tesla, we buy it online. We buy the cars online through the website.
Well, true.
So if companies, so we're going back to the question of the impact of digital, right? if customers are already using up so much of the process in making their own decisions, it means that you have a lot of sales reps who are missing out on opportunities. Let's flip it, right? So that's the customer side.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of sales reps now who are missing out on opportunities because they haven't learned the skill of using social media the right way towards selling on social, doing proper marketing, not advertising by boosting, but doing
Correct.
proper marketing so that you become that magnet. You understand? So yeah, that's the impact of digital. Based upon the question that you would have asked.
Yeah, I mean, you guys laid it down beautifully. Digital has impacted sales. The customer journey, there is a million different ways a customer can arrive at a purchase now, and the vast majority of them are all digital. And at the end of the day, and I don't think you guys mentioned it, but kind of just talk. I know, Jarrod, you've talked about this in content. The fact that the humans can only talk to so many people. Digital allows you now to talk and qualify more people at scale. Just touch on that a little bit for me.
Oh yeah. So my thing I keep explaining is, if I have one question, I know 100 people need the answer. I don't want to talk to 100 people, but I want my content to be my 24/7 sales rep. And I think that's something that a lot of sales professionals on who's frozen. Yeah, me?
No, you're not frozen.
Oh, not frozen. Okay, I see Keron frozen. I was worried. Okay, yeah.
Oh,
So I think a lot of sales professionals not understanding that aspect and the role that it plays for them so that they can reduce how much manual tasks they're doing and they can focus on more revenue generating opportunities. So for me, I think if you really implement that type of strategy, what you should be building out is like a video encyclopedia. So in other words, every question that you could possibly answer should be created in a document and posted to a different platform so that you could just copy and paste and send it to persons or tell them pick their preferred platform to learn. And I think that there is the most impactful aspect versus doing sales manually today. You could literally lead somebody down the sales process through content.
now I know that's a perfect segue to my next question. I know both of you guys are going to have a lot to say. How has content marketing impacted sales in the digital age? Lyndon, let's go with you.
Well, I would say content marketing would have impacted sales extremely well for those who are doing it right, as opposed to those who are not doing it right. You have a lot of folks who are just putting out content for putting out content's sake. That's why we still have people who are putting out content as images, right? We still have people who are just putting out arbitrary type of content because their content is not tied into the sales process. All right. Now we've spent some time talking about the sales reps, but let's talk about the companies as well, right? Because companies drive sales as well because they have a brand that has a reputation. And even if we switch in industries, I've always said, one of my existing customers right now, I've always said to them, you're leaving too much opportunity on the table because you're not focusing on the end user and you're not focusing the content to drive the sale to go to your distribution outlet. You understand? So look at it like this, just a simple thing. If I wanted to understand which type of dog food was better, because I'm a dog owner, I've used this example before, there's no distribution, there's no organization that's in the distribution industry that's nurturing me to help me be a better dog owner, make better decisions about which brand and guess what, and where to go and get it. You understand? So it's just, hey, we sell these things, there's a promotion, top of funnel, and the funnel, go get it at any one of our distribution outlets. And that's wherever you're headed.
Jarrod, content. How has content impacted sales in the digital age?
Well, you know me, I have it printed on a t-shirt. Content is a differentiator. So content, so I'll put it to you this way. I've done no prospecting in 2024, yet it was my best year ever. Because all I just kept doing was creating more and more content. Now, mind you, I could prospect at any time I want, but my style of selling, I enjoy creating video content to answer as many questions as possible to keep my pipeline full. I'll give sales reps this comparison. I still don't think I'm creating enough and pushing out enough value. So I think I did 429 pieces of content this year. I want to get up to 600 for next year. And I wanna do more long form and do different things. And I think where if you understand that if you have a problem as a consumer, and we've all done this, you would absorb or consume as many pieces of content till you find the answer you will. And I'll give a relevant example, right? Even though it's not a sales thing. Remember I switch cars, right? So I'm trying to figure out how to change the wallpaper on the screen inside the car. And I've done a couple of tries and it wasn't working. I went through like 5 or 6 videos, finally found the right steps to do, and it worked. Right?
Right.
Think about that in your sales process. We're not looking at that in sales, and we keep thinking customers not doing it. And remember, I came from a cell phone background, like there, Keron, you know. And one thing I always do, and like I'm in a coffee shop now, I sit down and I look at what people do on their phones, and people are consuming. You all don't
Yes.
understand this. People consume, and then Lyndon, remember when you was doing the training earlier this year for the car company and I got vexed. I
Mm.
literally blowed somebody in the room and he was like, my customers older, they're not on social media. I was like, number one, you don't have this person's phone to check out their app usage. Number two, that's a lie.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
seen everybody of every age, they're on their phone and they're consuming. You're not creating enough content to influence the decision. So
Can
content
I?
marketing for me will always be the number one thing.
I want to add one more thing. This actually happened to me before I came back on Wednesday, right? So this was the Tuesday. I went to someone, I never met this person in my life. So I went to someone's home, a family member's home. And this person is in the kitchen and they heard my voice. I never met this lady in my life. And the person said, "Who are you again?" She said, "I know your voice." Right. And I said something. So she was asking, and the person said, "Well, his name is Lyndon and he does content." She said, "That is where I know him from." This person
Yep.
is in New York. I have never met this woman in my life. She actually went to the profile and she was going through. She said, "Yep, that's him." So again, you never know how far your content, and this is from a personal branding standpoint now, right? This woman would never buy from me, but she has an affiliation with me based upon the content. She says, I scroll through all of her videos. She said the other day I commented on
Yep.
one of her videos. She couldn't remember which one, so she was trying to find it quick, right? But
Love it.
we have a relationship, right? That barrier of meeting for the first time was immediately broken because of all of the time she spent listening to my content, interacting with the content. So we were just talking. She may never buy from me,
But
but
she
she can
trusts you.
refer me exactly to somebody else.
Yep.
And that is how it impacts on your sales. Because she
And
knows somebody in Trinidad that might want what I have. And it comes
so
from content.
let me ask this then, Lyndon, because this is my belief. Because anybody who asks me is the same approach. If you don't implement a good content marketing strategy, you cannot grow your business effectively the way you want to going forward.
Correct. Not in 2025.
It is that important.
Yeah.
It is not even a consideration. It is that should be mandatory. Like how companies have to get certification for certain things. It should be mandatory that the company has that philosophy. The salespeople who hire should have that philosophy. Like I no way, and I'll go so bold. No way a sales rep should be creating even more content at their company. Like it's supposed to be that content driven. I mean, no, Gary Vee said it. Like you have to look at yourself as a media house.
Yeah.
I think companies need to understand that like it's that critical to your business. And like I did a video the other day, so I'll give you an example. Somebody told me, why should I create content, Jarrod? The industry I operate in is just me and 4 other players, providers. The people who
This
we
was actually gonna be my next question.
yeah,
So go ahead.
the people, she says that it's only me and about 4 other players. She said the people who we supply to is like 25, 30 people. He's like, when a tender comes out, they have no other choice. They send it to everybody. He's like, so why am I creating content? And my first question was, are you the biggest? Are you the number one provider? He said, no. He called a big brand. I said, right. They get the lion's share. It's like, so you have no influence in the decision. You are still judged on your cost, and that's it. You have no brand because of your content. Nobody knows who you are, and you're
Yeah.
not positioning yourself. You're just another name. Whereas even though I don't know who is in the company executing the deal because it's a brand, I know them. So they get majority of the business. That's why I want content. I
Yeah.
don't want like remember last time my word was dominate. I don't want anybody else to get a consideration. I just want it to be me. Like when you think sales training, Jarrod. Like that's it. And I think that's the difference people need to understand. Like that's the critical role it plays now.
Let me
That
add
that
one other thing
Go
with
ahead.
that, with Karen. Because again, we are talking content marketing, right? So when we talk in sales, it's always from the sales perspective, from the salesperson side. One of the things that I've been showing customers how to do in this instance, they're using the CRM to do it, is that even from a service-based component, after the sale, you can use content to drive more sales. right? So what we've been looking at is how do we now create, so if you are looking as a service-based business, look at all the problem calls you have, look at what customers are coming in with, because here's what that can do from a sales perspective. It can help you take business away from your competitors.
Yep.
Understand? So
Listen,
just look at what your existing customers are doing, and it's going to help you become the magnet, become the thought leader, and it's going to build that affinity with your brand, and it's going to help you drive sales from the service end of things.
to both of your points, because you made some very salient points. Let me drive the point home. I'm in Thailand now, right?
Mhm.
I've showed everybody I'm in a condo. And
Right.
one of the things that people were looking at was like, hey, no, the condo is too expensive for the space that you have, right? And I'm trying to tell people it's not just about the space. There are so many things that are given to us as a part of the package. One of those things is our condo has an app, okay? So our condo has an app. Inside of this app, we can do a bunch of different things. We can book the private onsen, we can book a bunch of different things. But most importantly, even the condo produces content.
Content. Yeah.
The condo, you hear what I'm telling you? The condo inside
because
of the
it's a
app,
business.
we have all of this content. So and listen to some of the content the condo is creating. The condo just dropped an app today. Protect yourself from the earth and the high PM 2.5 but small grading that we just got, right? So they're giving us how to protect ourselves on that. Then they gave us a piece of content on how to safeguard your home from electrical outlets and fires. 4 principles of cleaning out your home for the new year. The condo is creating
Relevant stuff.
content.
Yeah, because you know why, Karen? One, if I'm the condo owner, I look at it as a business. I want maximum occupancy at the maximum rate, and I want maximum retention. The only way to do that is to keep people engaged. I would not look at another condo if you have my attention. This is what people don't understand.
Here's the thing with that too, Jarrod. That content could be shared to anybody else. So that could also be a driving factor to any other interested. So if Karen shares that with someone else who wants to come to Thailand, right? Then that that condo becomes one of those preferred choices.
Yep.
You know? Because one of the biggest things, maybe it's a metric that people don't really pay attention to properly, right? Is where did you hear about us? And referrals from social platforms or from your LinkedIns and stuff like that is so important, especially if it's coming from things like WhatsApp. Because if people are sharing your content, it means that there's a connection there somewhere with the person who found it valuable enough to share, and it now made it into somebody's inbox or whatever it is, or DMs that may have never had any interest or knew of you from before. So there's always somebody to find every single day as it relates to your content.
Absolutely. And I mean, I'll just say this last one, right? We have a piece of content that got sent to us from the condo, and it was a checklist, security and safety measures for your home over the long weekend. And they had sent it out right before we went into the long weekend.
Right.
So when people say to themselves, oh, we are in an industry, nobody reads our content and there's no kind of content to produce, we have a condo producing content, relevant content for the homeowner. And I read it because there's a lot of things to learn. I did not know that in our condo, there's different types of drains for different types of liquids. Did not know that until we got articles sent to us.
Now I understand the previous comment. You're in a high-end condo. You have different drain pipes. I'm sorry. Lyndon, I don't know what type of drain pipes you have home. I have one drain pipe.
I have one drain pipe.
I don't know what drain pipes. So different liquids.
We have like 4 different drainages inside this condo. So like we have two drains on the balcony. One is for the washer, because we have a washer outside, right? So one is for the washer. The other drain is only for rainwater that gets captured and then repurposed. Right?
You have 2 more. Where's the other 2?
The other 2 are in the bathroom. There's one beneath the toilet bowl. So if there's any overflow, it drains into a different tank. And you cannot put any liquids into that drain as well. The only
Mm.
drainage that can handle liquids is the shower,
Right.
because they repurpose the water. So it's all separated
Right.
for different things, right? But
Wow.
again,
Okay.
I learned that through
True.
content the condo
Yeah.
created
Yep.
and pushed out to us,
That's from the
right?
knowledge
So
piece. Yeah.
to your point now, to your point, Lyndon, the condo is nurturing us.
Yes.
The condo is nurturing us to be better tenants for the condo.
Yes.
Okay, and decreasing their damages as well. Because anytime
Yep.
something happens, best believe content is going to be pushed out, letting people know, hey, you see this? And they show
No,
pictures.
but
This is a
not only
no-no.
that too. They might be able to even track if you view the content, so then you can't say
Oh,
there's
they
no
can.
something,
Absolutely.
which
Absolutely, they
is
can.
like,
They
oh
can.
gosh, I
Yeah,
love that.
yeah. Again, and this is the level that it's at in Thailand. But that being said, great segue. Both of you gentlemen do something that I do a lot, and I think we're very aligned on this. When we're in different spaces, different countries, we are constantly looking around at what actions people are doing, and also at our environment to see what is capturing our attention. When you guys are looking at individuals and what they're doing on their phone and some of the activities that you guys are seeing, what are some of the things that you guys are seeing today in your observations with people?
This is locally or internationally?
Both.
Both. Well, I would say within my last trip, I saw how companies, and this is when I say companies, I'm talking about small shops, convenience stores, etc. I saw how they've been using commerce with a communication strategy to make the process of purchasing easier. Like a lot of
Tell
things,
us about
a
it.
lot of the things were tap to pay, or before you finalize the purchase, you put something in you just put me, at least give them your email address and a first name. And beyond that, you begin getting content by the next day as it relates to thanks for your purchase, etc. So they begin to nurture you, right? The convenience of shopping at a convenience store, right? When I went I don't normally carry cash in Trinidad, and I didn't have cash on me when I went to the States, but I was
Yep.
able to pay with my phone for the very first time. So I was just actually taking up my phone and tapping it on the thing, and I got a notification from the bank that says, hey, money was used from whatever. So I just found that was so good, you know. So I saw where the convenience of communication and commerce was really good, but that's through the use of technology. And then based upon some retailers that you purchase from, they will provide you with different bits of content, just telling you about, and it's not even just promotional. It may have certain things as it relates to, maybe the jeans that you buy, etc., etc. So that's one of the main things I saw recently.
Love it. Jarrod.
I would say something slightly different. So the question I think you said was, what have I observed from people with their phones, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what I've observed is, all right, so this is just a side note. This is just being petty. First
Yeah.
thing I've observed is Apple's market share is declining. The amount of people I've seen with Android devices, particularly Samsung
Agreed.
flagship devices and
Right.
Google
100%.
Pixel devices,
Yes.
has
100%.
like, because remember, I look at what people do on their phones, and predominantly in the past, coffee shops used to have plenty iPhone users. That is more with, I would say, maybe the younger the generation after us and stuff. With older people, the people who have been switching devices, I've seen that. What I've seen from a lot of people do it, I've seen a lot of people, and again, it's the most basic thing, which just goes to show the content. A lot of people have been searching. Like you see, like what I see people doing is typing a lot more, and they're looking for something, which goes back to what I said before. People are always searching, looking for an answer to a problem that they have, or something that's been popping up and me not dominating it as much. So for me, that's what I've been honestly seeing with regard to like phone and mobile usage. Again, I'll say particularly for Trinidad, because again, we don't have, there are very few places that will probably allow you to do the tap and everything with your phone. So to me, just that basic is what we're doing right now.
Yeah, those are two very solid observations. I'll chime in with one. I took a video of this. I just have to do the voiceover and release it. But
Right.
what I seen, I was at a festival the other day, all right? And it was at one of the biggest parks inside of Bangkok. Thousands of people are here, right? Big festival. And there was a food vendor. I don't know what food they were selling, but there was a food vendor and the line was long. I'm talking like there was like 100 people in this line, right? And I think they were selling like this type of bread. Like it wasn't anything crazy, but whatever it was selling like hotcakes, literal hotcakes, right? So rather than they have 100 people in the line, right? And rather than the person walk up to the vendor to hand over cash, and obviously, you know, when you're transacting with cash, it does take the sale takes a lot longer because you have to go get change, blah 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 blah, right?
Yep.
What they did, I thought was just sheer genius, and I'm like, but this is like basic common sense. They seen the line, 100 people, one guy, like they cut up some chits. They cut up some chits. Like this is something they did on the fly, right? They cut up some chits. One guy comes out in front to the line to kind of manage it, and he opens up one of the tap to pay digital wallets, and he's like, hey, pay with this digital wallet, this tap to pay digital wallet. They give you a chit and then walk up and then collect your food. So he came from around, so he's no longer behind. He came out in front. They got everybody in line. And the video that I took is just him showing the phone. The people in line are just scanning the QR code. It deducts the money. They get a chit. They walk over. And if you see how fast he's just
Friction reduce. Friction
flying,
reduce. Speed up your sales.
and it's everybody. It's young people. It's old people. Everybody has a phone. And because they have gotten conditioned that you have a bank account, you have a digital wallet, all of these things are connected. Your scan to pay and your tap to pay, whatever you want to do. You want to tap to pay? Great. You want to scan a QR code and send over the money? Great. And it's happening, just no friction and the speed. Because boy, oh boy, if they were handling cash from behind the bar, that line, they would have lost half the sales.
People would have left the line. Yep.
People would have left the line. People would have left the line.
That
right?
I think is what companies. So that I think, given everything that we are discussing, is something companies in the Caribbean have to understand. When you could reduce the friction and speed up how fast people can buy, then you're gonna capitalize on the opportunities. Because even let's look at this on a even different scale, on the manual scale, something that's on an observation. I've always noticed that when you're going to Starbucks, in particular, movie town, if there's a long line, they automatically bring an extra cash. The purpose is to speed it up because they don't want people to leave. So in other words, you drop out to the sales pipeline. So like in Lyndon terminology, you had a lead and the lead drop off. Why? Because it took too long to respond to their need. So like, because they're not creating the process easy for them to get to the finish line. And I think that's what we're not understanding. People just want to get to the finish line. The only other thing I would say is that, and I have to tell this a company too, they keep saying older people don't want to change, but I'm like, no, it's not older people, it's everybody. A lot of people are hesitant, but they have to understand that the digital is here to stay, and you have like people. I don't know if it's mandated or if it's, but you just have to get people there because if it is by force, because that's the fastest way for the business to grow. Like,
absolutely, absolutely. That being said, another great segue is when we're looking at the relationship between sales and marketing teams. How do you think that relationship looks in 2025? Given all of the changes that are happening, how does that relationship look between sales team and marketing teams in today's digital world?
So I will say it's gray. I think some instances marketing teams are becoming, and I'm speaking here locally first, right? Marketing teams are becoming very reliant on the sales reps doing their work, right? And this is not all industries, but this is some industries. Marketing teams, again, for me, have not evolved, or they're doing enough just to say that they're doing, if you understand. So they have a social, they have a website, they have a this, that, and the third, but it's because everyone else has it. There isn't a strategy that's tied behind it, right? And the sales things the same thing for sales reps, right? We have sales reps who do a lot of advertising, but no marketing, no content strategy, right? So I do think it's a blurred line, and it's something that needs to still be refined. This is just my observation for 2025 in Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean, because I see a lot of reps doing what marketing can help them do.
Yep.
Yeah. But they have to carry they carry a lot of that burden for themselves.
Jarrod.
I personally think most marketing teams don't create enough content and supporting materials to support the sales team and also to support the customer in terms of being able to do the buying. I agree with Lyndon 100%, where personally for me, I've not seen an evolution or growth in what marketing does. Um, and again, if you look at any company where sales rep has been prominent and it's true content, it's no help of marketing.
Yeah.
It's not any guidance or anything for marketing. So what I would like to see for 2025, and actually what I will see for 2025 is a couple of things. You would see more finger pointing between marketing and teams that already have a conflict, because as budget shrinks, there's more accountability and people who not performing will start pointing fingers at each other. What you would see in the great organizations and the ones who thrive, I think, are the ones like the marketing teams who say, oh, we would find a rep and we'll make him a TV show. Like we'll find a rep and we'll just start creating content off for one person. And they
Yeah.
and more importantly, they'd be willing to fail at something, if you get what I mean. Like you test an item, it doesn't work, and we pivot to something else. Like they'd be willing to do those things. And like there's not a job in 2024, 2025, but can marketing teams leave up their negative comments? I'm sorry, you can't tell me your whole post is only positive. Like, come on, like stop it.
Yeah.
Like take a page from you like, who's my favorite in marketing? Ryan here. You ever see their TikTok page? They just troll themselves. Like you had to own up to these things. So for me, I think that's what I would love to see, because I think that's what's going to really help you capitalize. So like I don't know if Lyndon would agree with me. Like yes, sales leads the way, but if you really want to amplify and do everything, especially when you talk about content and digital and everything, if marketing gets on board and there's a cohesion and a seamlessness in the execution, what that company will do will be unstoppable. They would no other company would be able to compare. They would grow their revenues, they would grow their market share, they would take everything.
Yeah. Lyndon.
So I want to add a point. And one of the things that Jarrod and I like to do is give context. So we don't just want to be here talking. And while sometimes we may not be able to name names of some of the organizations that we work with or we see certain observations with, I will bring up an event, and I'll use this event as an example. 2024 TIC. I visited a lot of booths that were there. You had some major names. I got a lot of stuff from them, call cards, this, that, and the third. And again, this is where we're talking about sales and marketing, right? So before, during, and after, let's speak specifically to after. One, on the day of the event, there was more of a show and tell and not a qualifying. So I gather that there isn't much qualifying on the day of the event. We just have an event. We just hear, hey, this is what we do. Even for the people who took my names, I have not heard from them as at
Yep.
So there's no after, and marketing should apart from sales being involved, marketing should be involved. So you should always have a strategy of post events. And I'm just using this as the example to answer the question, right? So TIC 2024, I'm sure it would have been great for a lot of people. It would have been an excellent investment. I don't know how many active leads or their brand awareness. I don't know how to measure any of that, because there isn't a strategy post event. None that I have.
100% agree.
Cards, I have the bags and everything else here with me. But I'm just saying, as an attendee, I got nothing from anybody after.
Yeah,
Agreed.
I agree. I don't think I've gotten anything from anybody either. And you see, and I don't think I've gotten anything from anybody either. Now, when we look at e-commerce, right? There's not a whole lot of our organizations that I can think of that we can buy from online, but you guys travel, you guys are in the States, you guys are up to date with a lot of companies around the world. How critical is adding e-commerce to your organization? How important is e-commerce going to be moving forward?
I mean, I can speak for myself. As I work
Because
towards
it's digital sales, right? It's digital sales. So
It's money.
how is it? It's money. How important is having that?
I mean, based upon your business, you close your deals faster. If I have to go to a bank or if I could just swipe a card, right? If there's some sort of portal on your website or whatever it is,
Yep.
where I can just swipe the card and submit my deposits for my car or whatever it is, then that's great, right? Because the speed for one on the seller side, the speed of getting the money to validate to validate the sale is important. And even from the customer side, the convenience of being able to do that quickly from an e-commerce standpoint, book my sale, book my trip, book my car, whatever the hell it is, right? So it's a very big value proposition because you get to turn things over faster. I say even for me, I mean, e-commerce for me is something I'm looking into. I'm not a big e-commerce expert, but with courses coming out, I don't want to have to
Same
transfer
thing for me.
that and the other.
I have
Just
courses coming out. I want to launch
just
the
put your
so
stuff out there, just make the payment and you get access to what you need to get, So
and
e-commerce is a pivotal role to that, to sales.
and let me share this with everybody. And again, this goes back to everything we've been talking about. There was one big company I spoke to last year, right? And they said that their retail online is growing at a faster pace than the sales that's in their stores.
Repeat that,
So
Jarrod. Repeat that.
retail companies are saying that their e-commerce, their website is the growth of their sales is faster than the growth of their retail stores. So in other words, people are going online. Because
Yeah.
again, what they'll do is they might probably come on window shop, look at it, or even if they're not window shopping, it's like, okay, I know what this is, I'll just buy it. Especially if the product has a brand name behind it, I don't need to explore it. And I'll give you an example of the industries that's supposed to benefit from this. I've been telling them this for 5 years. Mobile phone companies should be 100% online because the margins on that are so low. Instead of you having to pay staff and overheads, people should be able to order a phone, you put it in a O deliver van, and they get it delivered to you same day or the day after.
Yeah.
Like that's what it's supposed to be. And I think so. A lot of companies underestimate how easy it is to set up e-commerce and to track everything on the back end and set it up where the company runs profitably. I think that there is the most profitable aspect of your business you can develop because in this company's large case, remember, if people are shopping online, their margins in that are incredibly higher. I don't have to pay commission. I don't have to pay an employee. I don't lose any sale because the person was doing it at 7 p.m. at night and all the stores closed. I maximize the opportunity. My margins are high. That's the reason why I want to do this as an organization. And honestly, you should want to make sure that that grows a significant as much as your existing business because it kind of safeguards you again. If we ever have to shut down, you've built an audience already, a custom buying from you online.
1000% agree. And I love when people tell me things like people are not going to shop with their business online if they were to be 100%. And Jarrod, ironically, Jarrod has actually seen me the longest in a sense where I started off with a brick and mortar store in 2017 and then upgraded to being 100% digital,
Online.
selling phones. So when everybody is saying things like, oh, people are not going to buy, they're not going to go and buy phones from a local vendor, my entire Droid Island business was predominantly a 100% digital business, taking payments, taking cash payments, but it was 100% digital, and it was
But Karen,
delivered
let me go
all
back to
across
this. Sorry to
TNT.
interrupt. You're forgetting the most important part. When I met you, when I first came to your store, remember that I was by an appointment. You was available at that time because before you went out for delivery to deliver food for somebody who paid online and just go and do it after you finished talk to me.
Yeah.
That's to tell you how much people like, come on, how we not noticing this? I don't know. People, I think people just want to be willfully ignorant. And I'll put it in. I'll give you another example because I could talk about this one with names. When it was 2021, this is probably back in this is COVID days. I was doing training for PSU Credit Union in Tobago. PSU Credit Union in Tobago and Island Finance are on the same compound. These two companies, in addition to GMB Express Finance, could not figure out how term finance was beating them in the microloan market, like beating them in Tobago, beating them proper. Talking about 70% of the people were taking their loans with term finance. That's to tell you how bad it was. Here's the problem.
Wow.
Term finance had no physical location. Everything was online. So how for
Wow.
traditional people like Tobago, who you think want to walk into a branch, they're doing it online because they just serving, they understand the end purpose. The end purpose is not to line up. The end purpose is to get you your money. The end purpose is to get you your item. We will not understand that the buyer's behavior is changing in Trinidad and Tobago and in the wider region, and we cannot go them with traditional methods if you want to maximize the revenue for our business.
Now, we're talking about some really big changes that organizations need to make, but you already know that everything starts from the top. So what are some of the things that the leaders of these organizations, what are some of the changes that, you know, they need to make within themselves so that they can lead an organization in these current times?
Make it mandatory.
Make what mandatory?
Make it so like, okay, we're moving forward with these types of payments because, all right, think about it. Most
Oh, okay,
companies already have the traditional channel set up. What is supposed to be mandated to everybody, we move into a digital channel because we haven't built that backbone yet. We have built our traditional sales method. Let's just focus on building 100% on our digital method. So whichever method our customers want to choose, we can deliver it to them. But it should be mandated that we send everybody digital first. And the day they do that, they would realize how much revenue they're making. And that they
now,
were missing out on.
Lyndon, to get to that level of a mindset in a leader, because again, a lot of these leaders, tried and true, it worked for us for 30 years, and apparently they believe it's going to work for them for another 30 years. So what is some of that changes in mindset that we need to start seeing in leaders if businesses really want to take the next steps in building in 2025?
All right. So first things first. So we said that if we had to go back to the beginning, I think we were talking about things to leave behind a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I would say sometimes we may have to leave behind some of the leaders. Let's be real honest, right? Because some of the leaders some of the leaders are not where they're supposed to be. And
Yeah.
to be honest, they may never get there. Some leaders, again, the harder parts of my job and what I've been doing over the last 7 years, especially within the core space of CRM implementation and process and everything else and sales processes, is really getting the leaders to think differently. Because we have a lot of leaders who are, again, I'm being very, very candid here, but it's not to disrespect anybody. We have a lot of leaders in industries that are mature and they're basically living off the fat, right? And that fat ain't how much fat as before. You understand where I'm coming from? You know,
Yep.
and what is happening is that it's hurting the organization. Now, the organization might still be making money, but it is hurting the organization because there's a lot of money that's being left on the table or is being lost altogether. You understand? So first and foremost, some leaders just need to be left behind. And then from a flip standpoint, the person at the top really has to see this as the future of the organization.
Yes.
And we are talking about from in terms of how people sell online, how marketing supports sales, how service gets involved in everything else, what is the customer experience like throughout the entire sales process. You understand? It is a whole list because again, if we are talking digital age or digital world, which is what this is, then it means that the person who is now at the top has to have a clear understanding as to what the vision of the future is. That's why even in the beginning, when we say some sales reps may lose their job, it is a reality. But I know that there are some senior executives at the top. They want to hold on to people because, hey, everybody, they're nice people. You understand? But some of those nice people are not bringing the revenue to you. You know, so one of the main things is a change in mindset, but the leaders have to be ready to do that. And I've seen a lot of leaders right now become very afraid of technology. I'm talking about literal hands-off approach. I'm not touching that thing.
Yes.
Crazy.
And it's holding them back, you know.
Agreed. Now, we only have a few more minutes left. I mean, an hour flies by really quick anytime we get to talking. So just a couple more quick questions. When is a good time for an organization to start investing in sales training? And when do you feel like an organization needs sales training? Jarrod, we'll start with you.
Number one, if there hasn't been any growth, number one, if there has been a growth in the sales team or there's been turnover in the sales team, you need to provide sales training. If there's been new market entrants, as in products and competitors coming into the market, they need to be training. If there's new technology that is coming into the market, you need to do new training in order to sell better to your customers. The obvious is if there's been a drop in sales, but sometimes a drop in sales could be other factors, then you need to actually utilize and put some sales training into effect in your organization. Um, the last one which I would say is that if it is that you haven't done it in a long while for the team and it's like more of a sales kickoff and stuff and it's just to refresh the team because something hasn't been done, those things are good morale boosters. I think that's when you want to implement some sales training into the organization. But can I give this add-on? I think the companies that would make the most money are the ones who don't have sales training, but they have a sales coach. Because
Mm.
training is a week, 2 weeks out of the year. We have 52 weeks. I don't. Yes, it has an impact, but look, if you look at all our favorite football, our sports teams, they have a manager and they have a coach. Imagine if you had a sales coach that is there driving the numbers and driving the performance of the team. That's going to give you better results. So coming out of the training, the sales coach takes those trainings, learnings, and pushes it out and make sure the team implements it and it's on the focus of recommending to the manager who we coach up or who we coach out. And I think that's when you start deciding when do we want to do sales training.
Lyndon, you have anything to add to that?
No, I'll definitely just co-sign everything that Jarrod said there. I mean, for me, the main thing that I try to identify for the customer is why. So a customer comes to me, they say they're looking at sales trading. First, I'm going to ask them is why. And then from there, we try to identify gaps. It's always important to identify where the gap is because it's easy to point a finger at the people, right? But it could be a process problem. It could be a technology problem. As you know, those are
Yep.
the words I like, people, process, technology. So from doing a proper an assessment or having the right conversations about why you believe you need sales training, and then what type of sales training you need, where you need the sales training specifically, it's but everything else that Jarrod said, I totally co-sign on that deal.
Lovely. My last question for you gentlemen is, what are some of the things that sales reps should be doing now to get better in their craft? Are there particular courses that they should be learning? Are there particular things that you want them to start paying attention to? What are some of the things that sales reps can do to upskill themselves in these current times so that they could be better sales reps?
All right, so
Lyndon, you want to start with
Oh,
it?
yeah,
Okay,
Lyndon,
Jarrod,
yeah.
you want to start?
all right.
Okay, Lyndon.
So I will say one, regardless of you start using some sort of technology, if you have been technology from the standpoint of a CRM, find something that
Yep.
you are comfortable with to properly manage your sales. As one, get rid of the Excel. Two, I will say invest in a course that really shows you how to do social selling or to how to use social digital marketing properly, right? Because that is also a strong component of how you sell. Now, there are a number of courses. I would always reference HubSpot first because they have certifications in digital marketing, email marketing, social media. It's all there and it's free. All right. So that's where I would normally say to put a lot of efforts and also just beef up your standard sales skills. There's a ton of
Yeah.
sales stuff
Mm.
on YouTube. Jarrod puts
Yep.
out stuff, so just beef up your core sales skills.
So I would tell
Lovely.
I'm on the same path with Lyndon. One, if you're not using any type of AI, ChatGPT, Claude, anything in your sales process on a daily basis, you're not providing a better service to your clients. I think all sales reps should go through a copywriting course and learning how to write copy. Because learning how to create content is important, and learning content creation is another key thing. And then every sales rep should have a course on mind in terms of developing their skill, and they should be reading at least one book for the entire year, which I think is completely doable if you want to improve what you're doing.
There was one more question I had, and it's too big of a question for me to leave off. But I know this is something that is very contentious within the industry. What do you guys think should be the pay standards or pay structure for sales reps going into 2025? Because you're asking people to sell a whole lot more. Compensation isn't really happening in the way that they would like. So if you guys are guiding an organization, how should they be paying sales reps? What do you think is a good salary? And how does commissions, what do you guys think about that? Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a real strong question, right?
Yeah, that's loaded.
I would always say that it ties itself back into what is the objectives of the organization. So one of my good colleagues, Beverly Thompson from Jamaica, she and I talk about this a lot. And she always said something to me that I kind of live by now. Hunters, farmers. At the end of the day, you're always going to have hunters and
Yes.
farmers, right? So if you want to grow your business, then your your sales compensation structure should be geared towards incentivizing your hunters, which would mean even if you're offering a base, your base has to be smaller with your commission structure and your commission package higher, as opposed to if you have a farmer, which is your account managers, where it may take a little bit longer, then of course you have a change in that structure as well, where it could be sort of balanced because you have a longer sales cycle, the customer's already established, you're just really nurturing the existing account. But at the end of the day, it comes down to what that strategy is. Hunter, farmer. Now there are other variables in there as well, closing, the maturity of the industry, the saturation of the industry, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I always start off with what is the goal of the organization. We have many organizations that I talk to, they have objectives where they want to grow market share. So let's say they're second or third in line in terms of where they are in terms of the ranking of that industry. Then it means then you have to adjust that structure a little bit, because if they're going after competitive accounts, they need to be incentivized. You need to put more emphasis on what the metrics are to be able to manage that. That's how I see it.
Love it.
I
Jarrod.
agree. It's a loaded question, but I agree with Lyndon's stance on it. It should be from that hunters and farmers approach. And again, with a couple other factors like the industry and stuff. I would
Okay.
say though, a lot of companies make the mistake of paying reps too much of a high base, and your reps get comfortable and don't hit targets. So if you have a company right now where your reps aren't hitting target because they're comfortable with the base, you need to fire the rep.
Yeah.
Plain talk.
Plain talk.
I want you to answer this in one word. Give me a book recommendation that a sales rep or somebody in marketing, either one, should go and read for 2025 if they want to get better at sales and marketing. I know
Gap
both of you
selling
guys
by
have a
Keron.
Gap Selling by Keenan.
Yeah.
Gap Selling
down.
by Keenan. Perfect. Lyndon.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the book that Jarrod gave me the other day. But I would definitely co-sign on gap selling as well.
That is
Love it.
the
You
Cold
guys.
Calling
It was
Sucks
a yellow
by
book.
Nick Kibleski.
What's the name of it? Sorry?
Cold Calling Sucks. The kind of light
No,
green
no,
book.
it was another. It wasn't that one, but Colin Sucks is a good one as well. But it was a different one that Jarrod and I shared recently. But yeah, gap selling, Colin Sucks, two good books. Allow me to say this though, and this is for everybody here, right? For folks who are really tuned into what we were talking about, there is a YouTube video from Inbound 2019 from Brian Halligan, the CEO of HubSpot, and it specifically indicates how you sell is why you win. That encompasses every single thing we spoke about here. How you sell
Absolutely.
is why you win. Check that out, definitely, because I listen to more podcasts and stuff like that.
Love it.
Perfect.
All right.
Jarrod, where can the Freedom Family find you online?
JarrodBestMichelle.com. That site was built by Keron Rose. And then
Hey, love
that's
it.
it.
Lyndon, where can they find you online?
LinkedIn and Facebook, and at Linda with Linda Braffett or Patsy. That's OPAATSWI.
Folks, you guys have heard from two of the best in the business who have been killing it across the Caribbean, Latin America, the US, Canada, the UK. They have been doing their thing. Lyndon, Jarrod, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules and jumping on the digital world to really share your insights and get everybody prepared for 2025 and helping everybody crush their goals for this year. Thank you for your time.
My thanks, brother. Have a good one. Laters.
Yeah. So, folks, we'll be back with more Digital World after this quick break.